Dr. Jack Forbush of the Osteopathic Center for Family Medicine in Hamden, Maine, just shared his experience about the Andrea Ritz clinics in Paraguay. Nestled into that story was his take this job and shove it moment. As I'm apt to do, I kept recording after the show was done, and I'm sure glad I did. He didn't know how miserable he was until he wasn't. He broke free of the old system, and he's really glad he did. And now, in the spirit of the late, great Guy Harvey, here's the rest of the story, starting right now. What you said earlier about that frustration, that angst, anger, this was before you started the DPC clinic, right?
This was, perhaps so I'm 6+ years. So it was about that same time. So I'll admit that probably some of that angst was just getting tired of the stuff that I'm doing, with the insurance model. But it was all kind of part and parcel with having changed, having gone there and then having changed the model as well, model of my practice. So it was all about the same time. So maybe it was 50-50 or something, but nonetheless, it was, it's kind of like an epiphany, in a way.
Yeah, I was going to say it'd be good to tell us a little bit about Osteopathic Center for Family Medicine, because it seems like that was a good swift kick in the pants to say, I cleaned that up, to open it. But tell us a bit about that and what you're doing. I know it's direct primary care, which I'm a fan of. That's no news for anyone who's watched the shows. So right. That's why I got the feeling that this really maybe tripped okay, done. I'm going to do this.
Yeah. So I had been really, I don't mean to speak overly dramatic, but I had really been dying. So I opened the practice in 2007. Typical insurance model. And in 2007, I had left working for a large for Maine, large healthcare organization, and just really became disenchanted with organized, large hospital-based or organized medicine, and had the utopian idea that I could change it by going into private practice, which at the time everybody was leaving private practice. They were going to work for these large healthcare organizations. So between 2007 and when I converted in, 2013-14, I had really lost who I was. I had become physically unhealthy, mentally unhealthy, spiritually unhealthy, and just really kind of threw in the towel and said, if I don't do something different, I'm going to go work at Walmart. And welcome to Walmart. Have a nice day. Here's your smiley face. Thank you very much.
And what a waste that would be.
Yeah. Oreos are in aisle 3. that sort of stuff. So when I essentially resigned myself and said, I'm doing something different, I really wanted to, when I moved, and it wasn't called direct primary care at the time. I came up with this, direct care practice, DCP instead of DPC, because I had no nomenclature at the time. And said, I'm going to really do what I wanted to do to begin with, which was eschew myself of all of these other administrative you-know-what, and just take care of folks. So I wanted to have a component of the practice that was health and wellness focused. So we have a completely free complimentary, I don't call it, diet and exercise, it's nutrition and activity arm of the practice. And I want it to be as comprehensive as possible, and everything. So the typical DPC story. I want to keep things under one roof. I want to take care of patients. I want to spend time with them. But really it was very accurate for me, and that's what I wanted to do. And my time in Paraguay has only reemphasized that I'm doing what I need to be doing. Not necessarily, I shouldn't say what I want to be doing, because that's accurate, but also what I feel like I should be doing. If that makes any weird distinction in the differentiation. Really, what I'm supposed to be doing.
Living your purpose.
Yeah, living my purpose. And I remember looking in the mirror saying, I don't like the person I see. So I'm not going to be that person anymore. Almost like, conversion experience, if you will, in some way, shape, or form.
I had. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so we had quite a bit of negative publicity from my colleagues and from the area hospital organizations, which all marketing is good marketing. Is that what the phrase is? But a lot of negative press.
There's some debate about that, but okay.
Yeah, no. But I had a lot of not just naysayers, but really colleagues that were angry at me for doing this, and that the whole story about, you're abandoning patients and all that kind of baloney. And I said, I'm not abandoning anybody. The only person I'm abandoning is Anthem or Cigna or fill in the blank insurance company. I will not turn anyone away, but I can't work for these insurance companies anymore. I just can't do it. So, like I said, a lot of the typical negative press, which lasted, I'm going to say, about 6 months, when they realized that I wasn't cherry picking all the local attorneys and all the local accountants, and that I was taking care of, all of the blue collar workers, and that I was finding ways to make healthcare affordable for people, whether that's wholesale medications or wholesale lab testing or, fill in the blank. That now folks who were not able to access healthcare for primarily financial reasons were now getting it. So I would get calls from the local emergency room. Hey, can you see this lady or this guy that I just saw that, this is, they've got X, Y, and Z, and they keep coming into the emergency room. When can you see them? Tell them to be here tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
So just really, just really being present. Or what time are they leaving your department? If they can get here in the next half hour, I'll hang out a bit. Or if it's an hour, I'll go get a cup of coffee and come back. So a lot of that, negative community marketing, if you will, was shot down fairly quickly. Nothing that I did other than just doing what I'm doing. And, one patient leads to another patient, leads to another patient, leads to another patient. Pretty soon, you're taking care of, half the town.
Dr. Shane Purcell said something to me about, it's still very tough. And I'd love to get your opinion about this, whether COVID-19 has made any inroads. There are a lot of doctors that are still stuck in the insurance trap. I mean, they don't want to leave that system for a variety of reasons. Fear,
uncertainty, and doubt.
What would you say to them? Is there any difference after COVID-19? Are they saying, oh yeah, I get it now? Or are we still in that? How much of a sales job do we have to do to get doctors to really change?
The biggest, I think the most significant obstacle is fear. They are not, so they see me, because I work with them still at the hospital, or they see Dr. Purcell, or they think that we've got some kind of magic juju that we're able to turn the world around in a different direction. And I kind of jokingly and self-deprecatingly say, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Okay. If I can make this fly, then people that are, anybody can do this. So there's a fear about, well, I don't have an MBA. Do you know how to add and subtract? Do you know how to budget for your grocery bill? Do you take care of your home budget? That's all you need. That's all you need. And you don't spend $11 when you only have 10. So it's just very basic kind of accounting stuff. That's fear number one, kind of the financial fear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to get patients to come to me. And sometimes I'll jokingly say, well, I wouldn't come to you as a patient, but that's different. So I was like, no, it's a ripe market out there, and patients will come. They will come. So there's that piece. Like, I just don't know if it would be a successful business model for me. That's what they'll say. and that's a huge fear element. And then there are a lot of other fear elements that are unfounded, but that have been like like Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. Like they just kind of get stuck, and this is what I'm supposed to do all day long, and I have to have these hours, and patients are going to call me or text me all hours of the night, and I'm not going to have any freedom. So then I just pull up my calendar. I said, listen, I'm at the gym every morning at about 5 or 5:30. I come to the office, I take an hour off for lunch, and I leave early. And if somebody wants me to come back, I can come back, or I can see them the following morning. So it's difficult for them, I think, difficult for some to understand the concept of freedom, and for them to understand, to understand the concept of freedom and to break through some of the barriers of fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Sounds like Stockholm Syndrome almost.
It is. That's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. Stockholm Syndrome. I think Doug Farrago shared a nice article about the healthcare Stockholm Syndrome, where they just kind of get stuck. This is what I'm used to, so I'm just going to keep doing it, and I don't think that anything else I can do will survive. So I'm just going to put my head down and keep doing it.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's painful. It's really painful to watch my colleagues continue to live in this very demeaning, derogatory environment that they work in. It's really, I don't mean to sound too overly dramatic, but it really is an abusive relationship. That's what it is. It's an abusive relationship, not just with physicians, but with nurses, et cetera, where they don't see that they can get out. They don't know how to get out. They don't know what they're supposed to do if they do kind of rise up and escape. It's just a completely different mindset for them.
Yeah.
So what I try to do is I try to live the example, and I have them that they can come in anytime they want and hang out with me all day long. So it's to show them that this can be done. And I, again, jokingly say, if I can do it, anybody can do it,
In the matter of, but you had an attitude adjustment too. I mean, you had.
You got to come to that point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. I hated myself. My kids hated me. My wife hated me. My staff hated me. Everybody. And it was really when I looked in the mirror and said, I don't like that person that I see. I don't even recognize that person anymore.
Going through my head right now is self-awareness. And there seems to be a lack of being aware of what's going on.
Self-awareness, self-actualization, self-worth. I think it's a lot of those things. For me, it was really part of it was I'm worth more than what I'm doing. I mean, as a person, as an individual. And so why am I allowing myself to go through this every day? And I was fully expecting when I made the transition, fully expecting it to fail. And then I would, close the office and go work in an urgent care or an emergency room somewhere and just, settle up my career doing something that I really didn't. I mean, not that I don't mind doing that stuff, but just not doing what I wanted to do.
It's not, you lose the passion for it. And you've regained that with direct primary care.
You believe it.
It leads me into just a quick mention that you're also part of direct primary care, DPC Alliance. And,
yes.
And you also are, there's a New England direct primary care organization, which you've been involved in. So there are resources for physicians who are at the point of saying enough is enough.
In fact, exactly. The national group, the Direct Primary Care Alliance, and although we regionally also do this, there's a whole kind of DPC 101, if you will, to kind of answer a lot of these some questions that folks are asking to help them get started. And of course, Shane Purcell's book is fantastic. Doug Farrago's book is fantastic. There are a lot of folks that are writing, good, encouraging, and informative books and things out there to help folks kind of get out of this slavery, if you will.
Right.
But
The more
so we do it regionally for New England, and nationally we're increasing our base, if you will, and increasing our resources. So that's been a nice thing to see grow as well.
Oh, I can imagine. Well, if you're at take this job and shove it time, Doc,
Right.
This is the episode for you with one of your peers, because that's important. It's not me
And
saying.
If you wanted to add some color, we can record that section again. It will have to get a different rating, but
I kind of knew that the translator needed to be in there. That's the thing that's so frustrating, I think, for a lot of us who are in the know.
Yeah. I didn't know how miserable I was until I wasn't as miserable as I was.
That might be the show title. I'm glad I'm still recording.
But
there's your book. There's your book.
There's my book right there. And I'll even say to some of my colleagues, how does it feel to be raped and pillaged every day? How does that feel? And then you go to the medical staff meetings and they tell you to take a yoga class. How demoralizing is that? I mean, really, how demoralizing is that?
What? Huh? What?
Yeah.
Wait.
Wow. Yeah.
Ward? Yes, June. I mean, where are they coming up with this stuff?
I know, it's just it's so asinine, and to have smart, intelligent physicians who are just accepting this as a norm. Doug Farrago's right. It is Stockholm Syndrome. Absolutely no doubt about it. It's Stockholm Syndrome.
It's almost gotten to, what battered women go through.
Exactly.
And they don't leave.
Yeah. They don't leave.
And
a lot of them die. And maybe there's a correlation between that and physician suicide.
Pamela Weibel was
exactly
guest on the show. That was a real eye opener.
Oh, she's a power-packed piece of dynamite right there.
Yeah. That was great.
Yeah, she conveys that message much stronger than I could ever convey, because she's smart.
Yeah, and she did too. Oof.
Yeah. Oh, I have the utmost respect for her. Yeah, I think, so when I did this, in 2013, 14, there were two of us, Mike Champy and I, were the first two in the state. A year later, Brian Pierce joined us. So there were three of us. And then, so we were the ones that formed the New England group, eventually partnering with Jeffrey Gold and Carmela Mancini, et cetera. And then as an extension of that is where the national group came from. So 50 of us just said, we've all made the mistakes. Let's teach people not to make the same mistakes we have, or let's hopefully help them not make the same mistakes that we make. And even though it is self-deprecating, I say to these folks that are interested, I'm being very serious. If I can do this, anybody can do this.
Any doctor can do this.
Any doctor. Yeah. You can figure out you learned the Krebs cycle, for crying out loud. Okay.
I have no idea what that is. Therefore, I can't do what you do. Okay, there you go.
You went through 4 years of medical school and 3 to 5 years of residency, and you think you can't figure this out?
Nah.
I mean, really, it's. But it's really, and I think all of us that are involved in the two organizations just really. I should only speak for myself. I personally want to help rescue somebody who's stuck in the system they're stuck in. So I have said to folks, I will front load your salary for 6 months, which will be twice as long as you need to bring in a practice of your own, just because it pains me to see you suffering so much. Mm. It pains me to see you beaten down and destroyed every day. And I think that's the way most of us feel that are either founders of the New England group or founders of the national group. We just
members too.
Yeah, it's like so we get a new patient that comes in. It's kind of a funny story. So when we have a new patient come in, they come in very frequently initially because they don't really know if this is real. Yeah, they're testing. Is this real? And then once they figured it's real, oh, I'll see you in 3 months. Oh, okay, sounds good. Give me a holler if you need something in the meantime, or or whatever. And I think physicians are not that much different from it, in that it just doesn't seem. It seems too good to be true.
Dr. Jack Forbush, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
for Winning Healthcare Food Fights, this is Hunter Schultz. Until next time, stay healthy, wash your hands a lot, and there you are.